Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now going back to Mecca after the end of the Battle of Badr. Leadership in Mecca has changed. The leaders of Mecca, the old generation of the old leaders of Mecca, Utbah and Shayba and Umayyah ibn Khalaf and so on, were all killed in Badr. The second generation, Abu Jahl ibn Hisham, Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt, Nadr ibn al-Harith, were also killed in Badr. So now it's time for a new leader to emerge, to lead Quraysh and to unite Quraysh. And that leader was none but Abu Sufyan ibn Harb. Sakhr ibn Harb, his proper name was Sakhr ibn Harb, known as Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan did not witness Badr because, as we mentioned before, he was the reason for which the Battle of Badr took place. His trade caravan that he managed to escape with and to divert it and reach Mecca safely with the trade of Quraysh. So he did not witness the Battle of Badr, and he himself was not a military leader. He was a politician, very smart person, and he was a very good trader, but he is a businessman, not a military leader. But now he has been put in the position of being put in that leadership of Quraysh as a whole. He was from Bani Umayyah, which is a branch of Quraysh. Now Abu Sufyan, as the leader, the new leader of Quraysh, whose son, one of his sons actually, was killed in the battle, Handala, and he was Abu Sufyan, his nickname was Abu Handala also. So his son Handala was killed in the Battle of Badr, and he issued a decree. We are not going to show any weakness. We are not going to show any mourning for our dead. So no public signs of mourning. No one should weep, no one should cry, no one should show any sign of weakness for the loved ones who have been lost in this battle. And he himself said, and I pledge, I am not gonna shower, water is not gonna touch my hair until we get our revenge from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Sufyan was a very pampered man. He was a very elegant man. He cared about his appearance, he cared about his smell, he cared about his cleanliness. So to say that I'm not gonna take a shower and water is not gonna touch my hair and so on, that was something major, which means that it's not gonna last for too long. Therefore, the revenge is gonna come very soon. A few days passed after the prisoners of war were retrieved and the dead were killed, and people were still showing no sign of mourning. One of these people had lost 3 sons in Badr, and his heart was burning that he could not show any signs of sadness or any signs of mourning. So one night he was sitting in his home and he heard someone, a lady, wailing loudly and crying loudly. So he told his servant, get out and see if Quraysh has allowed the signs of mourning to be manifested or displayed. My heart is burning. I want to show my sadness and my sorrow. So the servant went out and came a few minutes later and said, no, Quraysh hasn't changed its position. It's just a woman who had lost a camel, and she's lamenting the loss of that camel. So the man almost went crazy and he said, أتبكي أن يضل لها بعير ويمنعها من النوم السهود فلا أبكي على بكر ولكن على بدر تقاصرت الجدود. That this woman is lamenting and crying for the loss of a camel, and that's giving her insomnia and preventing her from sleep. And I'm not going to cry for a camel, but I'm going to cry for my sons that I have lost in that battle, and I cannot show my sadness. And that's how Quraysh wanted to prove that it was tough. But again, Quraysh started to be torn from the inside by disunity and by, again, the loss of guidance and loss of leadership and so on. Now Abu Sufyan kept thinking, what should I do? What should I do? There is actually a trade route going close to Medina, not the traditional trade route that goes through Medina, or not the other trade route that goes by the Red Sea. There's one in the middle of the desert going close to Najd that we can take, and we can take the Muslims by surprise, invading and trying to inflict as much damage as we can on the Muslims. So he gathered 200 warriors, and they carried their food with them, some kind of flour, ground flour, something called a sawiq. So they took that food with them so that they don't stop on the way, they can take the Muslims by surprise. And they traveled through this desert route until they reached one of the suburbs of Medina. Not Medina proper, but one of the suburbs of Medina that had some plantations and some farms and so on. And they found a man and his wife and his servant living on that farm. So they raided on the farm, and they killed the man and they killed the servant, and they burned the farm before the Muslims felt their presence. So when the Prophet ﷺ and the believers felt their presence, they rushed to that farm, and Abu Sufyan just wanted to do something symbolic so that at least he can take a shower and wash his hair and so on. So he said, that's it. Now we have fulfilled our pledge. We have fulfilled our promise. We have caused some pain to them. Let's go back. And they retreated, and in their retreat, they tried to throw away all the food that they had so that they can travel as fast as they could. And the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, that was in the month of the Hijjah. Remember now that Badr took place in Ramadan, so that was a few months later when some people say it was in Shawwal, some people say it was in the Hijjah, so it's somewhere between. So maximum 3-4 months after the Battle of Badr. And Abu Sufyan managed to retreat back, and he went back to Mecca and said, we have fulfilled our promise, now we can resume our lives and prepare for the next step. Because this is not going to be the one and only confrontation with Muhammad and his army, but let's prepare for the next step. And in order to prepare for that next step, I pledge and I urge everyone in Quraysh who had money in that trade caravan that I managed to escape with, I want this money to be diverted for the war effort. I want this money to be set aside so that we can prepare a larger army and travel to Medina to exterminate the Muslims. Quraysh said, we're fine with that. We're going to follow your lead. You are our leader, so whatever you decide, we're going to follow with that. And Abu Sufyan started thinking, now, how can we start building our strength, and how can we prepare a bigger army so that now we have seen how tough the Muslims are. It's not going to be a walk in the park. We have seen that. So now we are going to be better prepared, and we're going to go and invade them in their homeland, and we're going to get our revenge for Badr. Now, back in Medina, the conditions started changing in Medina. Remember, Medina, so far, the majority of people in Medina are Muslims, not all of them. Not all of the Arabs, not all of the Aus and Khazraj, the major tribes in Medina, not all of them got into Islam. Many of them got into Islam the first year and the second year. The numbers started increasing after the Battle of Badr. But not all of those who declared their Islam were true Muslims, because some of them declared their Islam just to protect themselves. Initially, when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, they didn't like it. Someone like Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the head of the what would become known as the hypocrites, he didn't like the arrival of the Prophet ﷺ, and he tried to harass the Prophet ﷺ as much as he could, every time that he could. Because he was going to be crowned the king of Medina before the arrival of the Prophet ﷺ. And now that the Prophet ﷺ has come and he has become the leader of Medina, he has been the pride of that honor, so he never forgot that. So he started inciting his other followers. Let's show that we are believers and hide our hatred in our hearts and try to create correspondence and communication with Quraysh and with other people who hate this group of believers, so that we can conspire against them. Among the other tribes that existed also in Medina, as we mentioned before, were the three Jewish settlements: Bani Qaynuqa', Bani Nadir, and Bani Qurayza. The strongest of them militarily was Bani Qaynuqa', and the wealthiest one was Bani Qaynuqa'. So these started harassing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Initially they said, do you think that you have managed to defeat Quraysh? We are not Quraysh. You have not seen who the warriors are. We are the masters of war. We are the experts of war. We are the weapons manufacturers, and we are the weapons experts, and we are this and that. And don't you even think about attacking us? Why would the Prophet ﷺ think about attacking them, since when he came to Medina, he signed a treaty of cooperation and mutual defense with them? So why would he fight them? The Prophet ﷺ would never break a promise or break a treaty that he has entered to, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But they kept harassing the Prophet ﷺ verbally and trying to make fun of him and his companions anytime that they could. One day, they were also very good jewelers. One day, one of the women of the Ansar, a believer, went to buy some jewelry from one of their stores, and she had covered her face. So they kept asking her, show us your face, show us your face, we want to see your face. And she said, no, I'm not going to show you my face. And then she sat to inspect the jewelry that she's going to buy. One of them came behind her and attached the bottom part of her dress to her head cover without her feeling it. And she kept looking at the jewelry, and when she stood up, the lower part of her body was exposed. And she cried and she shouted, asking for believers to come and defend her honor. And one of the believers was there, and he heard and he saw what happened, so he rushed and he killed the man who did that to her. So these merchants, jewelers, they congregated around this companion and they killed him. Now, the treaty with the Prophet ﷺ has been breached. The treaty was mutual defense, mutual respect, no aggression. They started with the aggression. So the Prophet ﷺ prepared an army to go and surround and besiege the village of Bani Qaynuqa'. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet ﷺ that if you're going to attack a group of people with whom you have a treaty, you cannot do that by surprise. You have to inform them that the treaty is over, and you have to give them a warning before invading them. وَإِمَّا تَخَافَنَّ مِنْ قَوْمٍ خِيَانَةً فَانْبِذْ إِلَيْهِمْ عَلَى سَوَاءٍ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْخَائِنِينَ. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I declare that this treaty with Bani Qaynuqa' is over. And I am giving Bani Qaynuqa' the warning that we're going to invade them, so that they would know in advance. Now Bani Qaynuqa' had their allies from the Aus and the Khazraj, with whom they had this alliance from the old days of Jahiliyyah. Two of their allies were, one of them was a good believer and one of them was the head of hypocrisy. Ubadah ibn Samit, Sayyidina Ubadah ibn Samit radiallahu anhu, who was from the Ansar, he was an ally of Bani Qaynuqa', and so was Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the head of the hypocrites. So when the Prophet ﷺ prepared the army to march towards the village of Bani Qaynuqa' to surround it, Bani Qaynuqa' said, we don't care, we're going to resist, we have enough food in our fortresses, we're going to resist the siege, so it's not going to work. And after several days, almost 2 weeks, they found that their food is going to be running out, and now they had to surrender. So they tried to negotiate the terms of surrender with the Prophet ﷺ. And they contacted their leader, their ally, Abdullah ibn Ubay. And Abdullah ibn Ubay told them, don't worry about it. It's all fake threats, empty threats. Don't worry about it. I am your ally. I am going to support you and I'm going to defend you. And when the Prophet ﷺ continued with the siege of the village, and they found that Abdullah ibn Ubay is not coming to the rescue as he promised, they reluctantly surrendered to the Prophet ﷺ on the condition that they will carry with them their luggage and their families, and they would leave Medina. They would leave their settlement in Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ accepted that compromise and accepted them to leave with some of their belongings, except for the weapons, and their families would travel with them safely without any aggression. Now Abdullah ibn Ubay came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Muhammad, ahsin fi mawali. O Muhammad, be kind to my allies. And the Prophet ﷺ did not respond to him. So he came from the front of the Prophet ﷺ and from his back and kept shouting. And the Prophet ﷺ did not respond to him. So he put his hand in the armor of the Prophet ﷺ and grabbed him and pulled him to him so that the Prophet ﷺ could hardly breathe. And he kept telling him, Ahsin fi mawali. Give these people to me. Release these people for me. And the Prophet ﷺ said, may them be cursed, may they be cursed, and maybe you be cursed with them. They are free for you. So the Prophet ﷺ set them for this man. He kept saying, they are 400 men in armors and 300 men walking. These are my allies. These are the ones who protected me. These are the ones who defended me. And I'm afraid if they are let go, someone may attack me. So I want their protection and I want their support. And then the Prophet ﷺ looked at Ubadah ibn Samit radiallahu anhu and asked him, and what do you want, Ya Ubadah? And Sayyidina Ubadah radiallahu anhu said, I am going to take the side of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I need nothing to do with these people. They are our enemies. I don't want anything to do with them. My ally is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Quran in these two individuals. The one who chose the alliance with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And in the conclusion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَإِنَّ حِزْبَ اللَّهِ هُمُ الْغَالِبُونَ. And the ones who take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam as their allies, the party of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the ones who are going to be victorious. And as for the ones who said, نَخْشَ أَن تُصِيبَنَا دَائِرَةً, we are afraid that something's going to happen to us if our allies are let go because they are our protectors and our defenders. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that these are Hizbush Shaitan. These are the party of the devil, and these are the ones who are going to be defeated. So now the alliances are coming clear. Who is allying himself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and who is allying himself with the enemies. Still, Abdullah ibn Ubay did not say, I'm a disbeliever, I am an enemy of Muhammad and so on. He still claimed, I am a follower of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but this is a political matter and it's for my own protection and the protection of my clan and so on. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to let things go calmly. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not comment on that anymore. But at least now there's a red flag raised in what concerns Abdullah ibn Ubay. Abdullah ibn Ubay, as we're going to see from that time on, started leading that internal rebellion and treason against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and against His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he would not spare any effort to try to defeat the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as we are going to see inshallah next time. And next time we're going to talk a little bit about the time between the Battle of Badr, which happened in Ramadan of the second year of the Hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the next confrontation with Quraysh, which is the Battle of Uhud. Now, Quraysh is trying to get its revenge. It's better prepared. It has a bigger army, a stronger army, and it has its own allies. The fifth column in the form of those exiled Jewish tribes and the hypocrites in Medina who want to conspire with Quraysh against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So until next time, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.